When you want to destroy a tank, you don't necessarily need weapons to take out the tank. Now, as we all know, the javelin is probably one of the most popular and famous ways to take out a tank. I mean, the Ukrainians even call this thing the Saint Javelin. And then you have the not as cool way, or the cheaper way, which is an anti-tank mine to take out a tank, but there are actually cheaper and easier ways to take out a tank. Now, when it comes to the use of modern day tanks, most of them are very powerful and they're very strong, but they're not indestructible. So this means the tank crew might be more of a threat to its own tank, because there are times where we can bait a tank crew into going into a situation where they think they might win. For example, most tank crews know a tank can go right through a tree or don't really have to worry about a tree stopping a tank. However, there is a technique out there called the Abattus, and it's a way to interlock trees together to hopefully stop or trap a tank. Here's a visual on how this works. You first off need to know what way the enemy would be moving. And if a tank is pushing this way, you'll notice the trees are interlocked. So if the tank tries pushing all of these trees, they only get tighter and tighter and stronger. Now, I know what a lot of you are saying, well, I'll just go off the road and maybe go around the trap. Well, if you watch any Ukraine-Russian combat footage, a lot of the tanks that get ambushed are ones that are isolated in an open field. They strayed away from the path of least resistance, and this is exactly where you don't want to be. Now, what sucks is you are probably better off trying to go through this thing or breaching the Abattus, but we have some more issues. Most fixed positions by military doctrine are marked by artillery or laid with landmines. So if you are going to try and push through this breach, you're going to have to face the trees and you're going to have to face the music. Now, on to the barbed wire. So if you're going to try and stop a tank with barbed wire, it's going to take a couple of techniques to actually try and stop the tank. Now, the best way to stop a tank is with something called an 11-row triple strand, where you utilize barbed wire, concertina wire, and pickets. Now, here's a basic diagram. You have concertina wire tripled together, held down together with barbed wire, and you do this 11 times, and it's also reinforced with pickets holding everything down. And you're putting this in what's called the path of least resistance. If a tank wants to go through here, they see this opening through the trees, why not just try pushing through all this barbed wire? And if you don't believe me that barbed wire stops tanks, there are plenty of depictions and people out there who have written down, my tank has gotten screwed over by barbed wire. And if this picture of a Bradley fighting vehicle doesn't convince you that barbed wire and concertina wire sucks, I don't know what else to tell you. Now, there are breaching vehicles and breaching techniques to get through obstacles like an Abattus and an 11-row triple strand, but it typically will cost the vehicle or the soldier. And again, these traps or fixed positions are typically overwatched with artillery, landmines, some sort of scout unit. They are always watching these positions because they know you want to get through there. So yeah, these are techniques I've not really seen out there on the internet. You typically hear about the Javelin, AT4, things like that. But utilizing an Abattus or an 11-row triple strand and using that tank crew psychology against them, I think it's a very powerful tool.